For centuries whaling shaped coastal economies, navigation skills, and industrial development, standing at the intersection of human survival, ambition, and the vastness of the ocean. Traditional whale hunting began with long voyages into cold, restless seas where crews relied on lookout skill, knowledge of migration routes, and favorable winds. Early hunters pursued whales from small boats, approaching cautiously to place harpoons by hand, a dangerous act that required coordination and courage. Once struck, the whale's immense strength could tow boats for miles in what sailors called the Nantucket sleigh ride, until exhaustion slowed the animal and allowed hunters to secure it. As technology advanced, steam-powered vessels, deck-mounted harpoon cannons, and improved navigation systems transformed whaling into a more industrial operation. Enabling fleets to travel farther, hunt faster, and process larger animals at sea. After a whale was brought alongside or hauled onto a factory ship's slipway, crews began the methodical work of processing. The outer layer was carefully separated in long sections, revealing valuable fat that would later be rendered into oil used historically for lighting, lubrication, and manufacturing. Muscle tissue was divided according to established cuts, each destined for different purposes such as food, preservation, or trade. Onboard teams worked in coordinated shifts, using cranes, winches, and sharp tools to handle the enormous mass efficiently, minimizing waste and stabilizing the vessel. In shore-based operations, carcasses were towed to processing stations where specialized workers continued the division, cleaning, sorting, drying, or freezing the meat depending on local practices and markets. Throughout history, this process supported entire communities, from shipbuilders and navigators to processors and traders, embedding whaling deeply into cultural identity in certain regions. Yet the scale of modern whaling also revealed ecological limits. As relentless hunting reduced whale populations worldwide, scientific understanding and global awareness eventually led to international regulations and moratoriums, reframing whaling from an industry of expansion to a subject of conservation and ethical debate. Today, discussions of whale hunting and processing are often presented through a historical or documentary lens, emphasizing lessons learned about resource management, the complexity of human dependence on nature, and the responsibility to balance tradition, livelihood, and environmental stewardship. In a world where oceans are no longer boundless, the legacy of whaling continues to influence maritime history and modern policy, illustrating how human ingenuity can both harness and threaten natural abundance. As records of overexploitation accumulated, Scientists began systematic surveys, tracking migration patterns, breeding grounds, and recovery rates, which reshaped how societies understood whales not merely as resources but as keystone species with complex social behaviors and long lifespans. Former processing techniques, once optimized for speed and yield, are now studied to understand historical impacts on populations and ecosystems, while museums and archives preserve tools, logbooks, and oral histories from sailors and coastal workers. In regions where whaling formed the backbone of local economies, transitions toward alternative livelihoods such as fishing, shipping, ship repair, and whale watching required cultural adaptation as much as economic change. Contemporary debates weigh tradition against conservation, with some communities arguing for limited, regulated practices tied to subsistence and heritage, and others advocating strict protection to ensure long-term recovery. International agreements seek to balance these perspectives through quotas, monitoring, and scientific review, reflecting a broader shift toward precaution and sustainability. In this context, the historical processes of hunting and cutting are reframed as lessons about scale, restraint, and responsibility, reminding future generations that technological power must be guided by knowledge and ethics if oceans are to remain resilient. Looking back, the story of whaling also mirrors the broader evolution of industrial societies. Where efficiency and demand often outpaced understanding of long-term consequences, the coordination required on a whaling vessel, from navigation to processing, reflected an early form of global industry at sea, with standardized roles, schedules,
Let's go, keep moving. Steady now. Hike, hike. Hold the line, dig in. Watch the ice, it's cracking. Don't let go! One, and pull. Two, and pull. Three, and pull. Pull! Push, harder now. Keep moving, let's go! All together now. Pull! We need on the cutting!
Organize the blubber storage now. The temperature is dropping.
Pull the rope now! Steady, it is slipping. Watch the edge there. Steady now! All right, dogs, pull! Push! Let's go! Here, take this. It will keep you warm.
Thank you, Elder. We are grateful.
The hunt secures their survival. We need to move this stack closer to the house.
It is too heavy for two.
This whale provides for us, as it did for our grandfathers. We must honor the old ways if we are to last another winter.
Tighten that knot now. The rack is swaying. It's secure. Where next? Bring that section over here. It's enough for 3 families.
Yes, loading it now. Make sure the next one is slightly smaller. When the hunt begins, your knots must not fail. Watch closely where the line crosses. You must follow the grain like this. It keeps the fat solid for the winter.
We have plenty.
More than enough for the weeks ahead. For the village to survive the winter, this hunt must succeed. The whale is their lifeline.
We are grateful for this harvest from the sea.
May it sustain us through the winter. We lost many in those harsh winters. But today, the whale reminds us.
And techniques designed to maximize output under harsh conditions. Knowledge was passed down through generations, blending practical seamanship with inherited beliefs about the ocean's dangers and rewards. Over time, however, the visible decline of whale sightings forced a reckoning that extended beyond economics into philosophy and law. Whales came to be studied as intelligent, communicative animals with complex family structures, reshaping public perception and inspiring new cultural narratives centered on respect rather than exploitation. This shift influenced education, media, and international cooperation, turning former hunting grounds into protected areas and research corridors. Today, historical accounts of whaling and processing are used to teach marine biology, environmental history, and ethics, illustrating how societies can learn from past practices to avoid repeating irreversible mistakes. The endurance of whales in recovering oceans stands as cautious hope that with restrained science and collective will, human activity can evolve toward coexistence, honoring both the lessons of history and the responsibility owed to the living world. The modern reflection on this history increasingly emphasizes accountability and remembrance rather than repetition. Scholars compare whaling to other extractive industries to show how short-term gain can undermine long-term stability, using population models and archival catch data to reconstruct the pace of decline and recovery. Former processing sites have been transformed into memorials or research centers, where the scale of past operations is documented to foster awareness rather than nostalgia. Stories from sailors and workers are reinterpreted with nuance, acknowledging hardship and skill while situating them within a larger environmental cost. This layered understanding encourages a more mature relationship with the sea, one that recognizes cultural heritage without ignoring scientific evidence.
Show respect to the one who sustains us. Eat quietly and give thanks.
Keep rowing. We have her now. For the future of our people.
We are lucky to have this. Yes, it will keep the cold away.
The hunt for the giant whale is remembered as their lifeline, a testament to human endurance in this raw, unforgiving land.
Pull! Hike! Let's go, Mush! Pull! Heave, man! Keep it moving! Heave!
Look at the size of it! It's huge! We are saved!
Secure the lines. We got it now. Pull! Yeah.
The endless Arctic winter lasts for many months. Here, hunting is the only way the village can survive.
The ice near the breathing holes is too thick here.
We must approach from the south, near the giant's marking.
Hike! Let's go, Mush!
Gee, keep left there.
All right, pull. We need to make it before the storm.
We listen to the ice, as our ancestors did for generations. The vibrations tell us when the giant ones approach.
The traditional Yakucha technique involves precise cuts to separate the blubber from the meat, utilizing every part of the whale.
We will store this section here. Make sure the children wrap the smaller pieces tightly.
The harvest is vital. This giant whale, a gift from the sea, will sustain the village through the many months of the coming winter.
We have perfected these preservation techniques over generations. The fish are hung above the smoke, drying slowly in the balagan.
The cold outside makes this taste even better.
In this desolate, frozen world, life is a whisper against the wind's roar, a fragile existence defined.
This is how the knowledge survives. The giant whale provides for us, but only if we honor the traditions passed down through generations.
As oceans face new pressures from climate change, pollution, and overfishing, the history of whaling serves as a cautionary framework, reminding policymakers and the public that marine resilience is finite. By integrating historical knowledge, ecological science, and ethical reflection, Contemporary society seeks to ensure that future generations inherit seas defined not by depletion, but by balance. Respect and continuity. In this way, the narrative of whaling becomes less about the act itself and more about the transformation of human values over time. What was once seen as mastery over nature is now examined as a chapter of learning marked by consequence and correction. Educational programs, documentaries, and international collaborations draw on this history to emphasize stewardship, showing how regulation, monitoring, and shared responsibility can reverse damage once thought permanent. The gradual return of some whale populations offers tangible proof that restraint can coexist with human progress, though recovery remains uneven and fragile. Ultimately, the long arc of whaling history underscores a central lesson of the modern age: the oceans respond not only to force and technology, but to choices guided by understanding. By remembering the full scope of past practices and their impacts. Society gains the perspective needed to shape a future in which human activity respects the limits of the natural world while sustaining cultural memory through knowledge rather than exploitation. This perspective continues to influence international dialogue, encouraging nations to view marine resources through a long-term lens rather than a cycle of extraction and exhaustion. The former techniques of hunting and processing are now largely confined to academic study, cultural records, and regulated historical accounts, serving as reference points for how far technology advanced ahead of ecological awareness. By examining logbooks, ship designs, and processing methods, researchers trace not only the movement of whales but the movement of human thought, from survival-driven necessity to industrial expansion and finally toward conservation-based responsibility. The ocean. Once treated as an infinite frontier, is increasingly understood as an interconnected system where the fate of one species reflects the health of the whole. In this sense, the legacy of whaling and meat processing endures as an instructive mirror, revealing both the costs of unchecked ambition and the capacity of societies to adapt, learn, and redefine their relationship with the natural world in pursuit of balance rather than dominance. As this understanding deepens, whaling history is increasingly integrated into broader conversations about sustainability and global responsibility. It illustrates how economic systems, cultural identity, and environmental limits are inseparable, and how ignoring one ultimately destabilizes the others. The careful study of past hunting and processing practices allows modern societies to quantify impact, refine conservation strategies, and communicate urgency without repeating harm. In many coastal regions, storytelling has replaced extraction, with former whalers becoming guides, educators.
Heave! Get the line moving. Pull! Hold on tight. Dig in! It's pulling us under!
The giant whale hunt is not a triumph, but a necessity. It is the lifeblood of the village, ensuring survival against the unforgiving ice.
In this frozen land, every breath is a reminder of the price of existence.
Nothing is wasted from the giant whale. Blubber, meat, and oil are all utilized.
The great whale provides for us again.
We are truly grateful this winter.
This is Yakusha, land of survival.
What is it? Go! Move! Keep going! Dig in, hold fast. Pull, don't let it take us. All together now. Hold the line, don't let it slip. All right, pull. Easy now, let's move out. The ancestors watch. Pull together now. All right, it moves.
In the deepest cold on Earth, where the wind can kill and silence lasts for months, survival is not a choice but a law. The giant whale did not fall for glory, nor for conquest, but to keep a frozen village breathing through the endless night. Every cut of meat, every drop of oil, every strip of skin becomes warmth, strength, and time borrowed from death. Here in Yakutia at -71 degrees, life is measured not in comfort, but in courage, unity, and respect for what must be taken to endure. The ice remains merciless. The darkness always returns. But as long as people stand together, even the coldest place on Earth cannot erase the human will to survive.